Shalom, Kal Halal, Yahweh Shemiel, Shabbat Hashem, Wadash, double honors to the other apostles and other bishops, a great millstone, even the elders that came before them and taught us the truth. Shalom and salutations to all the brothers on pushing the word in truth and in sincerity, the hopeful light tabernacle of David, and the elder Yahshua. I'm back with the WW3 Daily update. Shalom and salutations to you all. S400, S300, I don't know what it is. There was a system, air defense system that I believe China sent over to Iran that could get at the F-35 through analog and not digital or whatever, the newer radar systems, but the old school. And so they have that. And then it's being said that they have their own S300 model, which is outdated, and that they are, manipulating to, to get it up to code or up to standard. But then Russia has the S400. Now, what we'll do real quick is we'll go to Ezekiel 38 and show how Russia is, assisting Iran and giving them whatever they need. Okay, does Iran need nukes? Well, here they are. Whatever they need. Ezekiel 38 and 2. Son of man, set thy face against God of the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. Russia. Okay, period. Okay, so we got Russia and Russia going into war. Okay? The Most High is bringing them forth, right? And all thine army, horses, horsemen. So the Most High is gathering a posse, basically, starting with Russia. Then it says Persia, Ethiopia, Libya with them, right? Gomer and all his bands, right? Togarmah names off all the people that are with Russia. And then it says, be prepared, be thou prepared, and prepare for yourself, you and all the company that are assembled with thee. That means everything you have, make sure they have, and be thou a guard to. Let's look at that a little closer. Get prepared, be prepared. You and all the hordes gathered with you, and take command of them. What does that mean? That means they're in your army now. You're the commander, Russia, and they're subordinate in your army, fighting with you, using what you got. It says, be prepared, you and all the hordes gathered about you. They got to be prepared too. For what? To win. With everything. Listen. Be prepared. Keep all the armies around you mobile. What does it mean, mobilized? Be ready. You will be their guard. Prepare for yourself. What does it mean to prepare Iran? Make sure they got what they need. Need a nuke? Need a pocket? Tactical? You and all your companies that are gathered about you. You and all your, what is a contingent? Con means with. What does a contingent mean in a war? Your companies. Company attention. That means they belong, they were inducted into the Russian army. And they agreed. And all of them agreed. Russia said, look, I'm running this shit, you down? And they said, yeah, I'm down. You and all your assembly that are assembled about you. Okay, your hordes. So right there, so keep your troops prepared to fight. What does that mean? It don't mean they gave them bombs, Zach. Okay, fuck out of my face. It means exactly that, stupid. So now let's watch a couple of these things. Let's watch and let's see what's going on, because it looks like everybody's sending them shit. I'm going to have to go find the China thing. And Slovakia, for what you may misconstrue as whatever. All right? That's just how I talk.
And its American puppets. We've heard Benjamin Netanyahu, with Donald Trump nodding along in the background, boast about having the qualitative military edge.
This is Open-Minded Thinker channel 2 hours ago. Okay. This is talking about superior air defense, S-300, S-400, blah, blah, blah. Listen.
We've heard them claim that the skies over Iran are an open playground for their F-35s. They laughed at the Islamic Republic.
The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps carried a missile test in the Strait of Hormuz from its new long-range and sea-based air defense system.
Fresh imagery confirms that Iran has redeployed its long-range S-300 PMU-2 systems to key defensive positions near Tehran and the strategic city of Isfahan.
Iran's senior leadership has once again placed heavy emphasis on the country's air defense capabilities, presenting them as a central pillar of national security and deterrence.
They said our air defenses were shredded, obsolete, finished. Well, today, the laughter has stopped. It has been replaced by the sound of sirens, the frantic chatter of pilots, and the thunderous roar of Iranian missiles finding their mark. According to revelations emerging from Russian military analysts and corroborated by sources across the region, the Iranian armed forces have just executed a devastating and brilliantly planned ambush over the skies of Iraq. We are getting reports, deep and detailed reports, that the Islamic Republic of Iran Air Defense Force has done the unthinkable. They have successfully engaged and locked onto advanced Israeli F-35I Adir stealth fighter jets. This was not a drill, and it wasn't a simulation. This was a live-fire ambush that has sent shockwaves through the Pentagon and the Kiryat in Tel Aviv. This is a monumental shift in the balance of power, and it proves, without a shadow of a doubt, that the so-called invincible Israeli Air Force is just as vulnerable as any other when facing the might of Iranian ingenuity and resolve. But before we dive deep into the specifics of how this miracle of modern warfare unfolded, how missiles hidden in the Zagros Mountains managed to paint a target on the most advanced American-made stealth jet, I need you to do something. This information is vital. It cuts through the lies of the mainstream media that want you to believe Iran is weak. If you value hearing the truth, if you want to support honest journalism that isn't afraid to mock the occupiers and expose their failures, I need you to hit that like button right now. Share this video far and wide. And please, drop a comment, just a simple dot if you have to, in the comments section to help break the algorithm that the Zionists use to silence us. And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. Join this movement. We need to stand together to support the narrative of truth, the narrative of resistance. Now let's get into the details of this historic event. So let's set the scene, because the imagery here is absolutely crucial to understanding the scale of the Israeli humiliation. For the past several days, the Zionist occupation forces, backed by the full military might of the Trump administration, have been pounding Gaza, Lebanon, and striking at the heart of Iran. They've been acting with impunity, or so they thought. They were flying their prized F-35s, the ones they paid an arm and a leg for, the ones they claim are the best in the world, deep into Iraqi airspace. Their mission? To bypass our direct airspace and launch standoff missiles at our military installations. They were trying to be clever, using the cover of darkness and the mountainous terrain of Iraq's Kurdistan region as a shield. But here's the thing about the resistance. We don't fight fair. We don't play by your Western rules. And we certainly don't announce our capabilities on CNN before we use them. The Israeli pilots, those arrogant flyboys who thought they were untouchable, flew directly into a kill box. According to detailed intelligence that has just surfaced on RT and is now being echoed by sources close to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Iranians had been tracking these F-35s for weeks. They weren't just tracking them with ground radar, because we all know stealth works against conventional.
Now they're going to go into their system, Whatever they added. I believe they got it from the Chinese. We'll see in a minute.
Radar. No, what the Zionists forgot is that the Iranians operates with a level of asymmetric cunning they simply cannot comprehend. It is believed that forward observers, perhaps using passive detection systems or even optical tracking, were feeding coordinates back to command centers deep inside Iran. They knew the flight path, they knew the timing, and they had prepared a nasty surprise. The missiles used in this ambush weren't just the old Russian S-300s that the Israelis claimed to have destroyed in previous limited engagements.
Here we go.
This was something new. This was a combination of indigenous Iranian technology and new systems rushed in through the deepening military cooperation with Russia. We are...
Woo! All right. So it was Russian. That's okay. So we got that. Now let's go to Dave Hodges. Okay. Do I have to play any more of that?
Hearing specifically about the deployment of the 9 M336 missiles, the munition used in the Verba man-pads, man-portable air defense systems, that Iran recently acquired from Russia in a deal reportedly worth €500 million. Now, the military experts in the West will scoff.
Okay, so anyway, that's not S-400, but let's see what Dave said. And that could be, they're throwing them off, but let's see. Here's Dave, and we're going to move it back to, bear with me while I find it.
Tucker Carlson, in my estimation, is one of the most informed journalists out there, one of the most informed people.
Why did he say that? Right? That's on another series I got. It's the Tucker series. But why did he say that? And now listen, watch who he mentions next in the Tucker series. Listen.
In Intel or out of Intel, in media, out of media, this man is always 2 steps ahead of nearly everybody else. Except in some areas where Candace excels.
What the hell? Going right into my theory about what the hell is going on. Anyway, back here he starts speaking on S-400. So let's get there. Because the way he sets it up and how this thing is going, I jumped up. I said, the spirit jumped on me and said, get up and make a video right now. It's lucky. Let me find it.
What? They're held hostage by the random targeting of the IRGC.
Slovakia.
And they published fair warnings they were going to do this. They took out ads in places like the New York Times. They said, this is what we're going to do, and it's our right to do it, because when you supply our enemy, you become our enemy. You're a belligerent in the conflict. Well, Russia is a belligerent in this conflict. Why did we not block Russian ships and or planes from delivering weapon systems?
Slovakia, let me go back a little because it's important how he sets this up. He goes back to, I think, World War I, II.
And the British and the French.
Let me go back because he sets it up really nice.
Number one option here. But for the life of me, I can't figure something out.
Just before he says
we also have sent 5,000 more Marines. I think Nitro Zeus is probably the number one option here. But for the life of me, I can't figure something out. At some point, you have to stand up to the bully. We had to have knowingly let these Russian planes and Russian ships through. That's stupidity. I'll go back to World War I. We had a great deal for our military-industrial complex in World War I. We were trading with the Germans and the British and the French. The British would just seize our ships and seize the cargo, and then they'd turn the crew loose. Okay? But the Germans lacked a sufficient surface fleet to do this. They had the U-boats. So they had no choice but to sink the ships, which they did. And they published fair warnings they were going to do this. They took out ads in places like the New York Times. They said, this is what we're going to do, and it's our right to do it, because when you supply our enemy, you become our enemy. You're a belligerent in the conflict. Well, Russia is a belligerent in this conflict.
Yeah, listen close.
Why did we not block Russian ships and or planes from delivering weapon systems? In other words, President Trump, it's time to grow a pair. You say, well, Russia might respond hostile. Well, guess what's going to happen now? You've lost control of the Middle East because of this weapon system, Mr. President, because you were afraid to stand up to the Russians. What dumbass advisors told you to do this? Oh, let me guess. Witkoff and Kushner, for reasons we've talked about before. I mean, we've met the enemy and he is us, as the old saying goes. Well, there are other options. They're not pleasant. The all-out ground war will not work. Targeted strikes through Operation Nitro Zeus, in which they estimate 80% casualties, is an option. You could use directed energy weapons from space. The problem is we don't have enough of the systems. And would Russia employ its satellite killers? Or would China? They've already done it. They've tested it. They've taken out some of our satellites. If they do that, then it's World War.
There it is.
So the do weapons possible.
I'm going to stop it right there. So you see where it's going. We already know the outcome, right? But what is all of this talk anyway? Everything is about what? Everything is about missiles. Let's get missiles. Go to Joel 2. Just get a couple of them. You can do it in the Berean. Joel 2 and 3. Before them a fire devours, and behind them a flame scorches. The land before them is like the Garden of Eden, Salakia. But behind them it is like a desert wasteland. Surely nothing will escape them. Their appearance is like that of horses, and they gallop like swift steeds, with a sound like that of a chariot. With a sound like that of chariots, they bound over the mountaintops like the crackling of fire consuming stubble, like a mighty army deployed for battle. Talking about the army of locusts being missiles, right? Defensive missiles, right? And offensive missiles. We just read about them. Anyway, we'll go ahead and end it right there. We're going to watch this thing come to its conclusion. We already know what it is. Call halal, Yahbashim, Shabashim, Kadash. With that, we hope that you elect or edify you, brothers and sisters. Shalom.